Psalm 101:5, a psalm of thanksgiving, encourages joy, service, and praise to God. It highlights God's role as the creator, shepherd, and provider of mercy and truth. The verses call for joyful expressions of worship, acknowledging God's goodness and faithfulness. Psalm 101, make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all ye lands. This verse initiates the psalm with a call for all nations to express joyful praise to God. Psalm 102, serve the Lord with gladness. Come before his presence with singing. It invites people to serve God with happiness and to come before his presence with songs of praise. Psalm 103, know ye that the Lord he is God. It is he that hath made us, and not we ourselves. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture. This verse emphasizes God's role as creator and shepherd, reminding people of their relationship with him. Psalm 104, enter into his gates with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise. Be thankful unto him and bless his name. This verse encourages people to enter God's presence, symbolized by the temple gates and courts, with expressions of gratitude and praise. Psalm 105, for the Lord is good, his mercy is everlasting, and his truth endureth to all generations. This verse reinforces God's goodness, his eternal mercy, and his unwavering faithfulness across all generations. What is Psalms 100 talking about? Psalm 100 is a powerful call to joyful worship and praise to God. It encourages all people to serve the Lord with gladness and come before him with singing, recognizing his goodness, mercy, and truth. The psalm highlights that we are God's people, his creation, and therefore should rejoice in his love and faithfulness. Here's a more detailed breakdown, a call to joyful worship. The psalm starts with a universal invitation for all people to shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. This emphasizes that praise should be joyful and celebratory, service with gladness. It urges people to serve the Lord with gladness and come before him with singing. This highlights that service to God should be a joyful and enthusiastic act, recognizing God's character. The psalm emphasizes God's attributes, his goodness, mercy, and truth. It reminds us that God is our creator and shepherd, a relationship with God. Psalm 100 encourages a personal and joyous relationship with God, acknowledging his love and our place as his people. A timeless message. The psalm's message transcends generations, reminding us of God's enduring love and faithfulness. Emphasis on praise. Psalm 100 is ultimately an exhortation to praise God for who he is and what he has done for us. What is the meaning of gates in Psalm 100? In Psalm 100, gates refers to the entrance to God's presence or sanctuary, specifically the temple gates. Entering his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise signifies approaching God with gratitude and worship. The psalmist calls all people to enter God's presence in this way, acknowledging him as their creator and shepherd. Elaboration, symbolic entrance. The gates symbolize the entry point to a place of worship and connection with God. God's presence. The psalm encourages believers to enter the presence of God, not just physically but also spiritually, through gratitude and praise, thanksgiving and praise. The act of entering the gates with thanksgiving and the courts with praise is a way of worshiping God and acknowledging his goodness. God's people. The psalm emphasizes that we are God's people and are invited to approach him with joy and gratitude. The imagery of gates and courts is reminiscent of the Old Testament temple, where people would enter to worship. What does it mean to bless his name? To bless his name is a way of expressing adoration, praise, and reverence towards God. It acknowledges his goodness, greatness, and holiness, and is often used in religious contexts like worship or prayer. The act of blessing God's name is a recognition of his sovereignty and a declaration of faith in his power and character. Here's a more detailed explanation. Praise and adoration. Blessing God's name is a form of praising him and acknowledging his greatness. It's a way of expressing gratitude and delight in his presence and attributes. Holy and good. The phrase often emphasizes God's holiness and goodness, highlighting his divine nature and actions. Faithful worship. Blessing God's name is a way of expressing faith in him even in difficult times. It's a sign of trust in his goodness and a recognition of his love. Inspiration for prayer. Beginning prayers with a blessing of God's name can inspire a more heartfelt and reverent prayer. While it's a phrase used in words, the action of blessing God's name should be accompanied by actions that reflect a life of faith and obedience to his will. What are the 7 blessings of God? wisdom, understanding, counsel, fortitude, knowledge, piety, and fear of the Lord.